Hey everybody, this is luckyDminor from Player Chess. Today with another very interesting episode of FFA. In this episode, I'm very suspicious if two side players had a teaming agreement up front, or maybe they didn't. I don't know, but there were many suspicious moves, and I would like to hear your opinion about that. I lost this game. And I frankly say I didn't lose because of cheating. I lost because of my own mistakes. But yeah, let's still see how this game unfolded, and let me hear what you think about it. So it was an anonymous game, so I didn't know the rankings and the names up front, but now in the replay we can of course see it. So we have red being the rating leader here, me being the second, and we have 1900 blue and 1800 yellow. So red started off, blocking it off to the blue side to his left. And blue is preparing fianchetto. Yellow is opening with a knight. I'm opening with my queen's pawn, just normal opening so far. Red is also blocking it off with me. So being a strong player in an anonymous game, he may think I create maximum security for myself. So I will see how the game unfolds, and I will not take unnecessary risks in the beginning. Fianchetto with blue. Yellow pushing a pawn, opening a bishop's line towards blue. I'm pushing pawn. Red is developing. Blue is developing. Yellow is developing. I'm still pushing. Red is opening a bishop's line towards blue. Blue is doing an early castling to his left side, which I would not usually recommend. Yellow is pushing the pawn. I'm pushing. Red does further protection to the left side, also develops his pawns. Blue is closing it off with red, and yellow is stopping me from promotion. So far, everything is standard. I'm blocking it off with red a little, and red is continuing his development. Blue is opening a queen's line, but not really. And yellow is blocking it off with blue. I'm attacking the yellow pawn with the idea of taking the pawn, and when yellow takes back, I can go for promotion. And I will win a queen for a bishop and a pawn. And yellow is losing a pawn. And since I'm kind of thinking blue and I would be somehow teaming as being opposites here, I think that's a good exchange. Red is further developing. Blue is developing, opening a bishop's line, offering a trade to yellow. A little risky. Yellow doesn't trade. And well, possibly tries to prevent blue at some point to attack from there. Okay. So I'm continuing my strategy. Red is just developing. Blue is developing, closing it off with this open bishop's line again. And yellow is taken, I'm promoting. Red still developing, and blue still developing. So up to now, I would say this is a completely normal game. I feel quite okay. I have now 2 queens. Everybody else is still developing, but no big progress. Well, I'm a little underdeveloped, of course, but therefore I have a 2nd queen. So everything seems to be fine. And here the first surprise happens. Well, maybe it's not a surprise. So if red and yellow are kind of teaming, maybe yellow would want to trade this queens and not let me have 2 queens. But on the other hand, he's of course losing his queen too. So now he's the only player on the board with no queen. So why is he doing that? I was of course not happy about this trade, and I thought it was also not good for yellow, but anyway. So red is now attacking my pawn, and blue is attacking yellow's pawn here, which may be pretty dangerous for yellow because his king is not in a very safe position yet. And yellow does not protect the pawn. That's kind of the first really suspicious move that I've seen. Usually I would have said that well, yellow would. I'm thinking, how could he even protect the pawn? Not easy. I thought he could just move the rook, but it was not possible. Also, bringing over the king would not be a good idea because the king would be in the open. So maybe there was really not a good choice in protecting this pawn. So moving the bishop, preparing to protect that pawn, maybe even the best alternative. So no suspicion here. Also, of course, his bishop is threatening my king. I protect my king. Red moves over, maybe preparing pawn pushes later. Also wanting to get his king away from this bishop's line. Blue's further developing, and he's not taking that free pawn. So why is blue not taking that free pawn? I mean, of course, if you attack to your left, this is always risky. If you risk your queen just for a pawn, it may be pretty dangerous. So let's say green would take here. Okay, I have to move this back. Let's say green would take here. The obvious move for yellow would possibly be to attack the queen, even though then the other pawn would be hanging here. And then, of course, red could, well, green has to move first. Green should do some development. And then, of course, red could take this pawn here. So the blue queen would have to move back, protect that pawn. And blue would also have lost a pawn. Red would have to move back. So it's not a big gain and maybe even a loss for blue. So, okay, he doesn't take that pawn. I'm fine with that. He rather develops his rook. Yellow is fianchettoing. I'm developing my knight. Red is bringing his knight over. Blue's doing a slow rook move with no big. Well, yeah, I don't know what the rook move shall do there. And yellow is castling. Okay. King safety is quite okay so far, and he got his king out of the center where possibly my queen could have attacked it, so that's fine. I'm opening a bishop attack towards this pawn supported by the queen. Well, it's defended by the knight, so no immediate threat there for yellow, but of course some potential for later. Red is preparing to push some pawn, possibly. Blue is bringing away his knight from this diagonal, maybe to prepare that pawn push. Yellow is protecting that pawn. And I'm moving back my queen, doubling the attack on that pawn, but which is not really an aggression now, since that pawn is protected 2 times. Now red is seriously starting to push 2 pawns, possibly. Blue is starting to push pawns. Yellow is starting to push pawns. Yellow here opened up a line towards his king, which is pretty dangerous. So if he gets checked by blue, I could deliver a mate there. I'm pushing the pawn, planning to later on attack this knight and then possibly have additional attacks from blue. Pawn pushing, pawn pushing. Some defense against my pawn moves. And I'm attacking that pawn. Okay, possible threat for later for the king here, but 2 pawns in between. Blue pushes pawns. Yellow is protecting his pawn. I'm developing my knight. Okay. Blue still pushes. Yellow pushes but comes too late to stop blue from promotion. And in this moment, of course, I could have blocked blue off, but since he's my opposite and I'm not scared about him, I allow him to promote. Maybe I shouldn't have done it. Maybe it's not the best thing to do here, but I felt this is quite a normal game. Everybody is developing. I already had some fights with yellow, but nothing big happened so far. So I thought, well, yellow is my enemy, red possibly is my enemy. He's very strong, seems to be. And so why not let blue promote? Okay, and here's the promotion. And here's an attack from yellow to my queen, possibly to my bishop. And here I was deciding, well, now I supported blue in letting his queen promote. I'm attacked by yellow. I can't step away, but then yellow would possibly trade bishops and I would have a kind of ruined king safety position here. So I decided to play aggressive and I checked yellow, sacking my queen for the bishop. But why was I'm doing it? Because of course I saw the possibilities that blue had in this case. So blue could take this knight and threaten the checkmate. If yellow rook takes, this would be checkmate for yellow. Okay, so that was one thing I saw. Of course, blue could also just take with the bishop, but that would never really threaten a checkmate there. Blue could also at this point just take this bishop. And if you would take that bishop, well, let's play it out. So blue takes, where am I? Oh, red has to move first, sorry. So I check yellow. Red kind of attacks me to support yellow, maybe if possible. So let's play it out. Blue could have taken this. I take back. Yellow takes back. I can either just protect and red, I don't know, maybe makes a distracting move here, worst case for blue, and blue can just take and has not really had a big loss here. Okay, so that's one possibility. The other possibility would be that blue would take here. And then yellow still has to take. And I can possibly also take, or just protect. If I only protect, there's still a threat on blue, so red can take, blue moves back, and still it's kind of a win for blue and green here. I sacked my queen, but yellow's pretty much damaged already. Also within the next moves, the bishop could take here. So also a good possibility. Another possibility would be blue taking this pawn. Yellow takes, I possibly take, red distracts, blue takes. Well, no, blue can't take, sorry. Blue has to move back. And well, if I lose my bishop, maybe I should never play that bishop. So this would be an alternative. But all those moves are kind of not strong against this one. So that's the strongest move here. So I could also, of course, take this rook. Yellow would, red would still distract. Blue would possibly mate. I would take the queen. And red would possibly move back the bishop. So also here, and blue can take the bishop. Also here, blue is in a pretty strong position. So, but nothing of that happened. So I checked yellow, and blue did not at all support me in this check. What he did was just moving back his queen, even hanging his queen towards the yellow bishop. Of course, yellow cannot take because in check, but this is kind of a very bad position for the queen in this moment. And of course, yellow took my queen, and I just got away with my knight in order to avoid trading here. Also, I'm blocking this line from blue so that I cannot get possibly mated on this field. And here's another suspicious move of blue's. So he's moving back his queen, but it's still hanging towards the bishop. Why is he doing that? I mean, maybe the bishop doesn't want to trade, but still it's very risky for blue to move there. Also, what shall the queen do there? I mean, I don't understand it. And yellow is not taking the queen. He also does not protect that rook, even though it's a big king safety threat for him. He could have just moved the king up there. Oh, whoa, sorry, up there. But he doesn't do. He just moves back his pawn, his rook, protects that pawn, of course, second time, but no hurry for him. He should protect that pawn, but he doesn't do. So I protect my pawn second time. Red pushes pawn and further develops. Blue takes out the rook. Still, he doesn't take that free pawn here and threatens the yellow king. And to say something a little forward, we're in move like 2021 now, and up to move 47. So for 26 moves, this pawn stays unprotected. And this bishop doesn't take for 26 moves. I can't believe that. So yellow just pushes his pawn. I'm trying to stop him from promotion. And that's a mistake myself. So I protected with this knight also my pawn here. I get attacked by the bishop, and that's pretty painful, pretty dangerous for my king. So I'm not saying I lost because of blue teaming with yellow. I lost because of this mistake. This was a heavy mistake. Also, maybe even giving away my queen was a mistake. But if blue had followed up, that would be still okay for the two of us. Okay, so blue makes moves. Yellow still pushes for queen. I attack the bishop, and that may be another mistake because now the bishop can take and attack my rook again. And oh, by the way, yeah, I make that move and he takes, and blue does not take this pawn. He could have taken this pawn. Yeah, maybe he would have lost his rook, but I would then also take the yellow rook, and for the two of us, it would kind of be still okay. But he doesn't do. He lets yellow promote. I have to move with my king. I lose my rook. And why do I have to move with my king? Oops. Oh, sorry, I'm mixing it up here. Because since the yellow pawn moved, this rook is even now protecting red. Well, maybe that was another reason why he didn't take the pawn, because he doesn't want to protect it, but this happens anyway. So I move, rook gets taken, and blue moves knight over. My knight gets taken. I attack red. But red brings his queen out. My king is nearly dead now. Blue counterattacks red. So he's supporting me. He's attacking red. Yellow is attacking red, but also taking my pawn. Red is taking my pawn. Blue continues the attack on red. And here, yellow is protecting, or allowing me to take the red bishop. So it's a double attack, one on the queen, and the second is on the bishop with my king. And I take the bishop. Queen moves over. And blue focuses his attack on red. So blue is doing a great job attacking red, but he never attacks yellow. Also, here, he's hanging his queen to yellow. And yellow doesn't take. He could have just taken blue. I take red. Red checks me, and here also blue could have taken yellow and would have still a very strong position, but he doesn't do. He just further attacks red. I continue to attack red, nothing else I can do. Blue continues to attack red. Yellow attacks me. Trading of the knights. I get checked. And also, of course, here, blue could have easily supported me by attacking yellow, but he didn't do. So I attack yellow. Red moves on, and here blue is kind of sacking his rook. Well, it's protected by my bishop, so maybe it's a trade or an idea of a trade. But still, he could have attacked here, or could have attacked here or there. I don't know. So yellow comes out. I have to move. Blue gets taken. And since I'm checked, I cannot even take back the red rook. Blue continues the attack on red. And I'm checkmate by red's move, but through blue's queen. But well, that happens. Okay, here I'm done. My game is over. As I said, I lost because of my own mistakes. I gave away my queen and I made a mistake, lost a pawn, and got my king into trouble. So I lost because of my stupidity. But still, blue is doing a strong game against red. But he never attacks yellow. So maybe it's his strategy. Maybe he says, I only attack to the right side. I never attack to the left side. So I try to be friends both with my opposite and with my left side. I only attack the right side. Maybe that's the strategy. But it was kind of a very risky strategy, and yellow didn't even profit from that. He could have taken the queen. He could have protected his pawn, but he didn't do. Still now, the pawn is hanging here. So that's what's suspicious to me. Blue moves on, yellow moves on, red moves on. Okay, here blue queen get attacked, has to move. Red queen gets attacked, has to move. Blue queen blocks red pawn. Red rook gets attacked, moves away. And here again, so blue is trading queens with red. So in a teams game with yellow, that would make sense. In a non-teams game, that wouldn't make sense at all. So blue loses his queen. He again attacks red. Blue does nothing at all to stop the promotion of the yellow pawn. And still, as I said, he does not even take that pawn. Gets attacked. And here again, blue trades with red. even though he would have a free pawn here. So that's the last chance he had to take that pawn, but he never did. So he trades with red and weakens his own position and lets yellow promote. And again, he lets his queen hanging towards yellow, as if yellow would never take him. Only now, at this point, yellow starts to betray blue and says, now I'm strong enough to win both of you. Also, blue loses his bishop, and red is being checked. Red can create a new queen, but gets attacked. Tries to protect. Blue can create another queen. Yellow just moves away and leaves red. Well, yellow could have taken again. Yellow could have taken the blue queen. He doesn't do in this moment. And now red takes it. Blue sacrifices the rook, allowing yellow to checkmate red. So from the beginning on, blue was kind of first waiting and then attacking red, and all of blue's moves were supporting yellow. So yellow has 70 points, blue has 26. Yellow has all the goods and blue has not much left. So it does only take a few moves and blue resigns. So I'm saying that blue could have won this game if he had killed yellow early on, or if he at some point had weakened yellow. Of course, there's always the danger that you are then in between yellow and red, but he only focused on red. And somehow I think this is suspicious how it developed, but maybe you write in the comments what you think about it. I will not accuse anyone here. So, and this is honest, this is not an accusation. So chess 25-6-3, you became, well, you only became third. You could have done much better, but sometimes this is how it goes. And Shailesh, you won the game, so you did a pretty good job. I only wonder why blue didn't stop you. So thank you for watching and have a nice day.